Welcome to the Crimson Palace, a program dedicated to playing the best new pop, rock and electronica. Basically, a program for Generation Y and Z. So sip that skinny soy chai latte, bite into that large blueberry muffin and plug in your MP3 to hear some awesome tunes with Phoenix FM's very own Sublime Miss M. And today on the program, I have the great pleasure of talking to US dream pop artist Jay Agnish. Jay has some new music out, which I've been playing on the program, and to talk about that and more, I have Jay on the line, all the way from the USA. Jay, welcome to the program.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it, and your support, and for playing my songs. You were one of the first people to really kind of get behind my music since I've gotten back into it, so I'm very grateful for that.
Well, that's what the Crimson Palace is all about. It's all about promoting up-and-coming young artists like you. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I really like your music, and I love dream pop. So I'm really excited to play your music. So let's get into it. Now, firstly, you've got a song out called Take Me Back There, which I've been playing on the program. Now, it's a nostalgic voyage through backyard childhood memories. So what was the inspiration behind the song?
It's, the song's kind of about memories. It's about childhood, nostalgia, looking back. It's looking forward. It's kind of, it's funny, like when I set out to write the lyrics, the melody was the song was done, and I had some placeholder lyrics, and I didn't really know what to expect, but once I kind of started writing, all of a sudden all this stuff came out about my childhood and memories and stuff, and it was pretty neat to kind of think back on my childhood and kind of the backyard there when I was younger. It was like the neighborhood hangout behind our childhood house. There's some woods, and then up further there's like this big sand pit that was kind of an abandoned. It was a abandoned real estate area. It was never fully developed. It just ended up some tractors were up there like digging it up, and they never fully developed it. So we would go back there. We'd ride our bikes back there. We'd sled ride and just kind of dig and build forts and stuff. And so the song touches on those experiences as a child, but it also kind of looks into the present at like my nephews and my nieces who experience those moments of joy and magic that I had experienced all those years ago. So that it kind of ties in the past with the present in that respect.
All right. Now, Jay, touching on what you've just talked about, the cover art for your single, Take Me Back There, features a photograph of what is called the dugout. Now, as you said, you would play there with your friends, riding bikes, building forts, digging caves, and riding sleds in the winter, as you mentioned. Now, when I was a kid, I had a cubby house and a tree house in my large 2-acre backyard. So, did you have these things as well?
We had a tree swing. We had some forts that we built further up in the woods, but that's so cool you mentioned that. It's so much fun to hear how people have responded to the song. Someone on Instagram sent me a photo of the bridge in their backyard and told me that the song really spoke to them and their family. There's a lyric in the song that, it starts out, it's in the backyard by the stream. There's a bridge that leads to the woods and the fun things. This was our world, our oasis, our magic place, and our own space. And it's really cool to hear that about your experience, and being able to connect with an audience like that is very special to me.
Yeah, well, my younger brother and I, when we were kids, we'd play in the treehouse and we'd pretend that we were South American rebel, like rebel army, and we call each other comrade, and we had play guns and everything. It was totally insane.
Yeah, we did some of that running around with toy guns and playing tag and all that. Definitely some good times.
Yeah, it's good fun.
But we grow up. We grow up, and those things they're in our memories, and they're part of our life forever, even though, we don't experience them every day, I guess.
It's only downhill from here,
Exactly.
All right, now, I also like the lyrics for another great song of yours, Is This My America? Now, I actually specifically asked you to send me the lyrics because the song really resonated with me, and for the benefit of our listeners, I will read the lyrics. What would happen now if I held up a mirror to the face of my country? I wonder what I would see. When I was in middle school, we stood together and sang the song of our country all in unison. Do we live in some fantasy where we can have everything that we want to? Or is that an anomaly, some kind of mistaken identity? Some days I'd like to circulate a petition to recall this country and take it back for all of us. Whatever happened to those schoolboy dreams of hope and redemption, of freedom and liberty? Do we live in some fantasy where we can have everything that we want to? Or is this some kind of anomaly, some kind of mistaken identity? Is this my America? America? Is this... So what was the inspiration behind these lyrics? Are they a reflection of the craziness of what's going on in regards to politics at the moment, in particular with the Trump years?
I don't think specifically, but I'm sure that was kind of like that's the backdrop of the time when this song was written. I don't know that it's specifically a critique of the politics, but sure. It's kind of part of what's happening here in America, and there's a lot to critique about my country. There's a lot of rampant racism, like hate, and but it's also about kind of looking back at what I thought America was supposed to be when I was younger. When I was in middle school and we stood there and we all sang a patriotic song about America to prepare for our graduation. And I just have to wonder, how much of that idealism is actually reality. And there's, most definitely an incongruence with that idea of liberty and freedom with what actually is happening around me every day. And it also touches on kind of like the greed and the selfishness that I see in society, and the kind of like the haves and the have-nots, and how the marginalized is kind of pushed to the side, and the rich just keep on getting richer. I think it's more of that so much than it is like a critique of Donald Trump or politics, I think.
Well, an Australian band called Midnight Oil, I don't know if you've heard of them. They've had some success in the States, but they have a song where they sing, the rich get the richer, the poor get the picture.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's the world we live in, and I think, when I was writing kind of the write-up for the song, for the promotion of the song, it occurred to me, I could sit here and I could bash my country all day, but at some point I have to ask myself, all right, what is my part in it all? Am I also reflecting some of this behavior that I'm critical of, and do I need to change my behavior in order to be a positive presence in my country? So how much of it is me and how much of it is the people around me? So I think you have to take responsibility to some degree.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned about the racism because, of course, we've had the Black Lives Matter, and it also, what you said made me think of the basketballer Dennis Rodman, and when he was walking the streets when he was young, people would yell out the N-word to him, and this was in the 90s, and I can't believe it. In this day and age.
Yeah.
and it's, it's still happening.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing that bothers me is kind of Asian hate, and a lot of like Chinese Americans like getting harassed and also physically, injured, like just on the street, because of this, arguably because of the whole Trump kind of anti-China flu thing, and that's really had just such a negative trickle-down effect of, making some Asian Americans like fear for their life. It's just not right to me. I mean, that's an injustice to me. I mean, I want to see peace and harmony. Call me an idealist, but that's what I hope to see in our country.
No, well, I think it's a good thing, and I think it's what we all deserve. We all deserve to be treated with respect, and it's sad that, like here in Australia, in particular in Victoria, my state, where I live, we have ads for, this is sort of getting a bit off the topic, but things like bullying in the workplace, anti-bullying in the workplace, anti-domestic violence, violence against women, raising awareness for all these things, and even racism. We've had racism, stop it at the start, and it's just a shame that we have to have all these ads telling people to be nice.
Yeah. Well, somebody's got to come from somewhere, I guess.
Yeah. All right. You are on Phoenix FM 106.7 with me, Miss M. It is 4:23 p.m, sitting on 20 degrees, and I'm talking to Jay Agnish, and between the two of us, we're trying to work out the world and make things right with the world, and Jay's trying to make a bit of a difference with his music to what's happening in the world. So I guess like a lot of artists, he believes that he can make a difference with his music. And I don't know if you remember a band from the 60s called The Byrds who sang Turn, 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 but they honestly believe that, I've actually heard them say that in the 60s, they honestly believe that they could change the world through their music. Do you believe that you can, make that difference through your music?
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. It's just funny. I don't know if I've thought about it that way. Yeah, I mean, I want to connect with people. I want to express my views and myself, and hopefully, can connect with others. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of just want to make my art and put it out there and hope it connects with people. But yeah, it's funny. Like when I was working on Is This My America, the lyrics, I kind of was surprised that I had so much to say, because for so many years, I feel like as a journalist, as a newspaper journalist, for many years, and a newspaper editor, I needed to kind of maintain that neutral stance to the degree that's possible, to try to report the news in a fair way. And I feel like now that I'm no longer a newspaper reporter, maybe my views are starting to just rise to the surface more. I'm becoming more vocal about my stances, and I'm ready. Or maybe it comes with age. I'm just ready to say something. But I was surprised that I had something to say. My next couple songs are a little less political, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's interesting.
All right, now Jay, you're currently producing some music using the synthesizer. I love the synth. I grew up. My first electric organ was a PSS 260 Porter Sound Yamaha piano keyboard, and I learned how to play like that. I'm not a professional like you. I'm just an amateur, but I did learn as a kid, and I absolutely love that thing, and I've still got it. It still works. Whereas,
it's awesome.
Yeah, whereas a lot of things like microwaves and ovens and CD players and all that just give out after a few years, but my little piano keyboard still works. But anyway, were you inspired by 80s bands like the Human League, Depeche Mode, who were big on using the synth in the 80s?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to Top 40, growing up when I was younger. Depeche Mode was definitely on the radio. I don't know, Duran Duran. Yeah, definitely the 80s kind of synth sounds were some of my favorite. Used to sit by the radio and with my, hand on the record button and make mixtapes from my favorite songs on the Top 40 radio, Casey Kasem's Top 40. And yeah, I mean, I was always intrigued with the synthesizer. My family up in the farm in Canada, where I would spend my summers, they had a cool synthesizer, and it made all these fun sounds like bombs dropping or screeches and sirens, and so I would just sit there and play those sounds for an hour or more, and I was definitely intrigued with the synthesizer. And we had one too at my house, and growing up in West Milford in New Jersey, and I would play around on that, and it had a drum kind of built-in drum machine sounds that you can play, and I don't know if yours had that too.
It had drum sounds. It had bongos. It had bongos and yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So now I have the grown-up version of that now. I have a MIDI workstation that has the drum pads, and it makes all the cool sound,
What was your first ever synth or piano keyboard that you played with? What was your first one you had?
It was like a Korg. I don't know the model number, but years later I bought a Roland Juno that I still have.
Yep.
And that is all over my last album. I used that a lot on my last album. But that's an analog synth.
Cool. You got to love the synth. It just does so much.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love the warmth.
Yep.
Of the synth sounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't get enough of it.
Nah, it's pretty awesome. Casey Kasem. Now, we actually there's a rival radio station here in Bendigo where I live that actually still plays the old Casey Kasem from the 70s. They play all these old 70s shows, and you can hear Top 40 from the 70s. And I probably shouldn't admit to this, but I like listening to it because there's a lot of stuff that we don't get here in Australia, like a lot of country style music, a lot of black artists, a lot of soul, a lot of funk, that we just... And there's just a lot of other stuff that you just don't hear these days. So I like listening to it. It gives me a real education.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, it's funny to hear that he was so, I guess that the Top 40 or Casey Kasem was so, provided such a variety of music. I never thought of it that way. But yeah, I mean, you get everything. I remember Michael Jackson. And you had the synth stuff, and you have more of the classic rock stuff, or the top, I guess Madonna was breaking back then, but yeah, it would run the gamut, I suppose. Yeah.
And we also got American Top 40. There was a commercial radio station that used to play the American Top 40 as it was at the time. So I used to listen to it in the 90s, and so it was, in the 90s as it was in the 90s. So playing the latest. And I used to just hear a lot of stuff and get a lot of information that I wouldn't get elsewhere. So, listening to that was a real education for me. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, lots changed. I mean, I hate to say that I'm becoming more of a streaming, person. But it's so much fun to be on the radio. And I grew up with, obviously listening to the radio. It's a big part of my experience, and there was I guess AAA radio station Fordham University that we would listen to in West Milford. We didn't get a lot of radio, like cool college radio stations growing up, but that was one of them that we got. It was a little more major market than some of the more experimental, college radio stuff that you might have, or some of the indie rock stuff that ultimately I got into and influenced, how I made music.
All right, well, we'll take a break and then we'll come back with more. So we'll play a song from Jay. This is Take Me Back There. We were talking about it a little earlier and talking about the meaning and the interpretation and the inspiration behind it. You are on Phoenix FM 106.7 with me, Miss M. The time is 4:33 p.m, sitting on 20 degrees. This is the Crimson Palace, program for Generation Y, Generation Z, playing all your new favourite music that you like. And we're going to hear Jay Agnish with Take Me Back There, and then we'll come back with more from Jay and me right after this.
Backyard by the stream, there's a bridge that leads to the woods and the fun things. This was our world, our oasis, our magic place, and our own space. Discovering beauty in life, in the chase of the fun and the mysteries. These childhood moments of my life I won't ever forget, ever forget. Your eyes take me back there. Take me back. Take me back there. Take me back. Got older and saw more of the world, things would change. This magical place that we knew faded away, faded away. It lives in my heart and my dreams, and the people I see around me. Discovering beauty in life, in the chase of the fun and the mysteries. Your eyes take me back there. Take me back. Take me back there. Take me back. Your eyes take me back there. Take me back. Take me back there.
Yeah, I love it. In all its dream pop goodness, that is Jay Agnish, and That was Take Me Back There, all about childhood memories. Here on Phoenix FM 106.7, where the time is 4:37 p.m, sitting on 19 degrees, and I'm talking to the man himself, Jay, all the way from the USA, where the time is after 1 a.m. over there. It's very late, but he's been good to chat to us here in Australia, where it's in late afternoon. So there you go, there's the time difference. Now, Jay, you describe yourself as a dream pop artist, and as I mentioned, you're a dream pop artist. Now, are you inspired by other dream pop artists like Bat for Lashes, Lana Del Rey, Julie Cruz, Lush, School of Seven Bells, London Grammar, and Beach House?
Yeah, I mean, the two names that pop out there are probably Lana Del Rey and Beach House. Yeah, it's funny you say dream pop, because I when I was getting back into music and you know, putting my new songs out there, I'm like trying to figure out like what genre I am, and so much has changed, you know, since I was making music like 13 years ago was my last album, and then now I've been releasing these singles. So that Take Me Back There was the second single I've released since August, kind of in my rejuvenated, music, career, if you will. But anyway, but yeah, no, dream pop seems to make sense, or indie pop. But yeah, Beach House is awesome. I love them. I don't know a ton more. I mean, I recently came across a playlist of some dream pop, and I've been finding all sorts of cool music on that. There's this one artist, Pink Mario, who you might like. Dream pop, but uses drum machines and synthesizers. But yeah, I do like, Lana Del Rey's cool. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Now, important question. You are of Indian heritage from your father, and listen to your father's favourite Indian film music around the house. So how did that shape you as an artist?
I think it had maybe a kind of a subconscious effect on my work. So yeah, my dad would listen to these tapes that he had of like 60s and 70s Indian soundtrack music, and then it was cool. Like one day, later when we got older, he gave me and my two brothers and my sister a copy of a CD with all those songs on it. It was called Balu's tape, but it was so familiar. It was just almost this mood or this feeling that the songs would evoke, and just taking you kind of right back to the childhood, and so I don't know that it has to be a part of me, and it has to come out in ways, but I don't consciously set out to choose instrumentation that's used in Indian music or anything like that. But I'm sure it's in there in my soul somewhere.
So, did your father speak Hindi or Punjabi or another language?
Punjabi. Yeah, I think he does speak Hindi too, but it was Punjabi. So he's from northern India, and I actually got back. I went out to India with him in 2004, and that was a pretty amazing, moving experience. It was also kind of difficult because it's a third world country, so you see a lot of poverty and a lot of difficult things that you don't see in America. So it was somewhat emotional, but it was also a fun trip, and it was, I made a lot of video. I had a video old digital video camera, one of the first prototypes, and I made a lot of videos of the wedding of that my cousin was in, that we went out to participate in, and also some of the sites. So we saw the Taj Mahal, and we saw Agra Fort, and we saw lots of monkeys, and I took some videos of monkeys that are actually the videos have done pretty well on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. but yeah, that was quite an experience. And I wrote a song called India that is about that experience of going out there with my dad. And it was on my last full-length album called Awake When You Dream.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because when we had our first female Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, she actually brought in a policy where schools would be funded in either one of 4 Asian languages to learn at school, because here in Australia, kids from the age of prep right up to year 8, which is like your junior high, learn a foreign language. So she brought in a policy where it was either Indonesian, Japanese, Chinese, or Hindi. So I actually read articles in the newspaper showing Indian teachers teaching the kids Hindi, and I thought, well, this is great. You know, the kids are learning, you know, they're getting funded to learn a second language, and the government's doing that. So what do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, for me, I never learned Hindi or Punjabi. So my dad's Indian, and my mom is kind of a German, white ancestry, European farm girl from Canada. And so that was, I guess, kind of, sort of a mixed race marriage. And so although we have Indian names, all of me and my siblings, we didn't learn the language. So yeah, I would have loved to have had that opportunity. I mean, I took Spanish in high school, and which makes sense in New Jersey. I mean, there's a large Hispanic population in New Jersey and in the country, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you're closer to India than I am, so that makes sense, I suppose.
And another thing, I actually saw this on TV. In India, where illiteracy is a huge, big problem, they actually use a lot of Bollywood to teach people, especially young people, to read and write. So they'll have the Bollywood movie and the songs, and then they'll have the words in Hindi going along the bottom. And so, you know, kids can read that and hear the music and learn. So isn't that great?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a clever way to do it. Yeah, I mean, a song, I guess, is kind of a mnemonic device that, you know, can help you memorize language. So yeah, that makes sense. That's awesome.
All right. Now, what else is in store for us from you for the rest of 2021? You said you got some new songs coming out?
Yeah. So, I have a new single that I'm going to release on the end of November. It's called Moment in Time, which I shared with you. I'm working on more music. My original idea was to release a song a month, but I'm not going to be able to keep that schedule up. But I will be kind of sporadically releasing singles for the indefinite future, and then I hope to get into the studio to record a full length that will be more acoustic guitar kind of focused, and I'm sure I'll have some synths in there, but it's going to be more kind of written from the guitar first, as opposed to the songs I've been working on lately that have been written on, you know, the keyboard first. So that'll be fun, and that should be more of a full length as opposed to singles. And I'm hoping to record with Daniel Smith, who has been mixing my singles, and who is in the band called the Danielson Family, also from New Jersey, a band that I love and someone who I look up to. And I've been so excited to be able to work with Daniel. He's been doing an awesome job mixing the songs, and I'm looking forward to having him more in a producer role on the new material.
Now, am I allowed to, I haven't played it yet, so am I allowed to play Moment in Time today or not? Do I have to wait?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, this is, I guess, a way of saying thank you to for being so supportive of my music. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't come out for 40 days, but if you want to play it, go for it. Let everyone hear it.
All right, I will.
It's an exclusive.
I will play it, and it's an exclusive to the listeners of Phoenix FM. Cool. Now, just finally, Jay, where can people find out more about you? What's your socials?
So Instagram is where I'm most active. So it's my first and last name together. So JaiAgnish. So at Agnish, and I'm on Facebook and Twitter. You could just Google my name and find my website, but Instagram is definitely where I'm active, and I post stories and a lot of stuff there. So
cool. You are on Phoenix FM 106.7 with me, Miss Sam, where the time is 4:48 p.m, sitting on 18 degrees. And today on the program, I've been talking to US dream pop artist. He's a singer, he's a songwriter. His name is Jai Agnish. Let's listen to some more music that he's got, and this is one that he's got out now. This is a great track. This is This My America? It's all about the issues. And Jay, thanks so much for being on the program today.
Thanks so much for having me, Miss M. It's been a lot of fun.
Pleasure.
Thanks again for supporting my music.
You're welcome.
What would happen now if I held up a mirror to the face of my country? I wonder what I would see. When I was in middle school, we stood together and sang the song of our country, all in unison. Do we lose in fantasy, where we can have everything that we want to? Or is this an anomaly, some kind of mistaken identity? Some days I'd like to circulate a petition to recall this country and take it back for all of us. Whatever happened to those schoolboy dreams of hope and redemption, of freedom and liberty? Fantasy, where we can have everything that we want to? Or is this an anomaly, some kind of mistaken identity? Is this my America? 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 Is this my America?
106.7 Phoenix FM.
And to take us up to the news, we've got Jay Agnish with Moment in Time.
It's a cold night in the summertime. All these rivers of lies can take me someplace to hide. The glow of my phone and some melodies are all the company that I need tonight. There's a cool breeze and the quick sway of the trees. It's enough for me. It's enough for me. I'm wide-eyed in this new life. Bring on the new strife. Bring it on. I'm wide-eyed in this new life. Bring on the new strife. Bring it on. It's so sublime. If I could just keep it alive. If I could just keep it alive. Was it ever enough? Or would I keep wanting it more? Would I keep wanting it more? Would I keep wanting it more? I'm wide-eyed in this new life. Bring on the new strife. Bring it on. I'm wide-eyed in this new life. Bring on the new strife. Bring it on, on. I'm wide-eyed in this new life. Bring on the new strife. Bring it on. It's so sublime. If I could just keep it alive. If I could just keep it alive. This one moment in time. It's so sublime. If I could just keep it alive. If I could just keep it alive.
.7 Phoenix FM.
This news update.